And my friends, live again with the COVID cabal. We're back. We're back, and we are back for what might be the last time in a while. Who knows? Who knows how it's going to be? So, just very quick with the wine. I'm doing an intermezzo from our Italian wines. Intermezzo from our Italian wines. So, I got my last case of the Gary V wine back in, believe it was November. Shipped to New York. It won't arrive in New Jersey, so it's definitely the last case. They actually canceled it, and I had to contact them and say I thought I was getting a case, and they said, "Well, we can no longer deliver to New Jersey due to the wine regulations. Do you have a New York address?" And I'm like, "Well, I do." So I had to plan that to be there for it. Picked it up. Um, I wanted to just do a little intermezzo though with the Italian wines, and I wanted to focus on this because I have a 2018 Empathy Red and I have a 2019 Empathy Red, and these are both going to be very recent vintages, right? But I want to see, is there a difference between the 2 years? It's always fun to do some verticals. Salmon, shut the fuck up. Shut up. There's always wine time. There's always wine time. I'm not being too complicated here, Salmon. You got to cut me a break. I'm not doing some sort of detailed regional analysis tonight. Just seeing, is there any difference between 18 and 19 empathy? 18 seems a little slightly very similar. Maybe a slightly deeper intensity. Very nice with the 18. Very nice. The oak is caramelizing a bit away from the vanilla. So they are different. The 18 has more oak. The 18 has more oak than the 19. I bet they did slightly different oak treatment the next time. Also, the 18 has. Let me just go right back to this. The oak's more integrated, so you could argue the wine improves. It's not just a drink. It's funny. The 18's better on the end, and the 19's better at the front because the 19 has. I prefer this. There's not as much oak on the 19, but then the oak is still newer, so the beginning tastes better, but then you get too much coconut. Whereas the 18, it's mellowed out. So anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna go to the pipe, as you can see a little bit later. Get some of this wine in. But look, guys, this is it. This is it. This is it. We got to be honest here. This is it. Okay, we are either a bunch of loons, we're crazy, or we have been genuinely seeing something different than other people. We've been seeing something beyond the veil. And that's it. This is the determination. If we don't see anything tomorrow, I'm not saying that we have to see like the perfect outcome that we would all love, which is, Biden arrested by the military in handcuffs. Okay? But if we don't see some action tomorrow, if everything goes smoothly, there's no issue, there's no EBS, there's no sort of drama at the Capitol, then I think it's safe to assume that the timeline on how this is going to happen is going to be very different, right? And we have to accept that. We have to accept the possibility. But here's the thing. We win deeper. And Paul actually talked to me about this. We have more power by accepting whatever happens. I don't mean accepting it like lying down. I just mean accepting that, is it possible we could lose? In a theoretical sense, yes. I can tell you guys, I see 0% chance of it happening. I see 0% chance. Okay? But I want us to also operate in this paradox where we can. Salmon, chill for a second. I want us to operate in this paradox where we are able to release attachment from all this shit. Okay? Release attachment from all this shit. And allow ourselves, okay, to understand that this is going to get resolved one way or another. There is no energy behind the cabal whatsoever. Guys, let's go through some of the lists of these things, right? We have the health secretary is a transgender man, okay? They are just throwing frightening shit at us right now. They are going to go through the military and they're going to purge it of Trump supporters if they get into the White House. They are going to do every every single thing possible to destroy this country. And we're not going to let them do it. We're not going to let them do it. We've already taken the difficult arrows at this point. We've already taken the difficult arrows at this point. Guys, chill with the arguments in the chats. Just whatever. If you want to disagree, it's fine. You guys can disagree. But we're at the point now that we've been preparing for this for 10 months. We've been preparing for 10 months for this moment. And I have to tell you guys, I have an enormous sense of calm. I have an enormous sense of calm. I don't have any fear. I don't have any worry. I don't actually have any sort of sense of fear about the outcome tomorrow at all. I don't have any real interest. I mean, I listened to I listened to Simon, I listened to Charlie Ward. I looked at some of the stuff, some of the Linwood videos that dropped about Roberts. It's all stuff we know already. Nothing's new at this point. Nothing's new. Every bit of information we could have, consumed is I mean, at this point, we consume the information simply to buttress our energy. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of you guys are on the COVID cabal right now, not because you're expecting me to drop some new intel. You just want to be part of the energy, right? You just want to be, a part of the energy. I have to tell you guys the reason I got empathy out tonight. There was a symbolic reason because we're gonna have to have some empathy going forward. We're gonna have to have some empathy going forward. All right. It's one of the reasons I brought it out because there are so many people who are going to be just broken by what occurs. They're going to be just absolutely broken by what occurs in the coming days, in the coming hours, 12 hours, right? It's been going around. I don't know if it's true. It's hard to verify these things, 4chan shit. I don't know. I've been hearing about the EBS. I've been hearing about, David Rodriguez had some things about, schools being told to ignore the EBS. More credibly, I've heard of agents from the FCC approaching people in communications departments and basically telling them, you better have your channels ready to be cleared for the next 72 hours starting 8 a.m. on the 20th. Okay? So I don't know what to tell you guys at this point. The information's pretty clear to me. The information's pretty clear. People get hung up about Francia Merlot. Oh my God. Yeah, they're refusing to broadcast the inauguration to students. I mean, I don't know what they've learned that they would do that. Maybe they're thinking it's going to be a Biden thing. I don't know what they're going to think it's going to happen. I can just tell you guys that I know where this is going. I know where it's going. Okay. Rewatching The Matrix, like looking at, I'm just looking at Morpheus and the certainty, and there is this sort of sense of certainty, right? It's a certainty. When evil things happen, you can feel the energy around it. Like with all the stuff, think about this for a second. With all the shit that they are saying that they are going to do, how could we possibly not be feeling freaked out? I know there are people who are freaked out, but let's be honest here, they're cut off from God's source. They are cut off from God's source. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying they're cut off from God's source. Because if you have any 5D certainty, you just know. You're like, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You can feel this up communication. You can feel the fear. They are so terrified, guys. The cabal is so terrified. They are not acting like people in control. People in control don't act the way they're acting. And let me keep in mind here that let's all keep in mind that Trump, again, his farewell address, never conceded, never mentioned Biden. He said the next administration. Okay? We are going to see a military government for the next 2 months. Trump is going to step away for optics. Anybody thinking that Trump should come out and say these things is an idiot, because if Trump wants to be president, the best thing he can possibly do is just get away from the situation at this point, especially after the Capitol. Get away from the situation, go pretend you're going into retirement, and let the military take control of things. Trump gives up power, and the military takes takes it over. That's what's going to happen. They are in a position now, and I've said this before, and now Simon's saying the same stuff. I think I think that they're going to green screen it. I don't think they're going to accept the trap. I know that they thought before. Simon was saying on Saturday that they're most likely going to go into it. I never felt that. They're not idiots. They follow. They see. They read these things. They know where they know that they're in a terrible situation. They know they're in a terrible situation, right? They know they're in a they know it's bad for them. I know that the cheese is in the Capitol, and they want to, are they going to walk through the gate? I don't think they're going to do it personally, but it doesn't matter because they're completely outflanked. They're completely outflanked. They have no ability to do anything. If you don't go inside the Capitol and you don't do the public inauguration, you are not going to be allowed into the White House. You are not going to be allowed to be president. You are not going to be allowed to have any control of the military. If you do walk inside the gates into the Capitol, you will be arrested. So what are they going to do? They can green screen their own showing of Biden becoming president. And they probably green screened it weeks ago. I mean, people have pointed out that there's been a mimic, even of the White House, done in Norfolk, Virginia. Why the fuck would they do that? What's the point of that? Green screen is when they green screen is what they do very often. A lot of like movies in Hollywood are completely green screen. They don't even use sets. They just digitalize the entire background. And I love how people are like, they can't do that. How could they do that? How could they fool us? People fucking watched a Star Wars movie with a dead actor. They had a dead actor on screen interacting with people. And it's like, how could they do this? It's easy to do that. It's easy. And that's the mind of a sheep. The mind of a sheep will be like, well, we couldn't, this isn't possible, right? It's not possible for them to do this. And meanwhile, they watch a movie and they're like, wow, it's so cool. They watch Mission Impossible and they see all this stuff happen. And then they're like, oh, but the government can't do that. It's all just in the movie stuff. No sort of sense, because it affects the ego of the sheep. It affects the ego of the sheep because the sheep consumes. So, look, we've got we've got a couple more hours and we're gonna see. We're gonna see. But I'm telling you that energy doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. I have felt so much love in spite of all the terrible stuff. I've felt so much positivity. And when I look at them, I see so much fear. I feel from these cabal actors a terrible sense of dread. I don't feel confidence. I don't feel this sort of sense that they are going to dominate anything. I know when people who have power are coming out. I know when they feel power. I don't feel any power. The vibrational elements is so low. And if you don't get 5D, you won't get it. I mean, one of the reasons I'm a good coach is because I work with clients on multidimensional or multi-density levels, because I can feel out situations rather than just simply see it from what I'm told. Okay? This is what we're dealing with right now. I'm happy to put my reputation on the line. Some person yesterday was like, I hope you realize that if this isn't true, your reputation is going to be damaged. It's like, block. You think I'm so fucking stupid that I wouldn't realize that? How fucking dumb do you think I am? Do you think that I wouldn't realize that when I put my neck out back in October about this stuff, that I didn't realize it was my reputation? But the reality is that everybody else's reputation doesn't do anything and just allows it to happen. Big fucking deal. What are you actually helping people to do? Nothing. So, look, I'm always down with I'm going to fight for what's right, and I'm going to go down. If I go down, I go down. I don't care. I don't care. You understand? I don't care. It's a fucking miracle as it is that my account hasn't been taken down. I get all sorts of crap. I get some people can't retweet things of mine. I get maybe it'll happen. I think I frankly got to survive a couple more days. If I can survive a few more days, then I think I might make it because then we'll have the military intervening. But what happens if they don't? I'm totally fucked. There's no chance that my business exists anymore. And the reality is there's no chance that 90% of the manosphere's businesses exist unless they become fucking shitheads and talk about just simply making money at the expense of other people. You are either on board or you're out. That's the way it is. We either win or we lose. There is no in between. There is no compromise. There is no 2024. There's no 2022. There's no people. Some brainwashed sheep watching this are going to think this is a radical statement. It's not. It's a statement of fact. These are people are criminals. They are criminals. And if they can ever consolidate power, they will do everything they possibly can to extinguish the half of this country, third of this country. I mean, the reality is that a third of this country they will have to extinguish. Maybe not half. They can probably scare a third of the country into submission, but they will extinguish a third of us. And I'm under no delusion that I'm one of those third. I will be taken out in the first 6 months. I've already talked to my wife about this. Okay, so I understand what will occur if this isn't correct. It's not even so, but whatever. I also understand in my heart of hearts that none of this stuff is going to happen. It's not going to come to pass. It's not going to be allowed. I can tell you guys that when I look for patterns to be congruent, okay? And when I hear propaganda and the pattern isn't congruent, then I look for the incongruency. And so it does not matter that they keep saying these things. It does not even matter if Melania or Trump has some sort of farewell address where they use vague, ambiguous language. I look at the patterning. Pattern does not make sense for Biden to become president. Their behavior does not make sense for Biden to become president. Okay? That's it. So I'm happy to put my reputation on the line because that's what I see. And if I had started to see that they were consolidating power, I would have seen that before, but I would be feeling very different because Trump would be acting very, very different if he was actually done. Okay? Things would look very, very different if he was actually done. And let's get meta here because a lot of people, they're not consciously in touch with the higher dimensions or higher densities, but they know. Bob had an amazing tweet the other day about this. I retweeted it. It's like, oh, if none of the Q stuff was real, why are you guys wondering what's going to happen tomorrow? Yeah, you shouldn't be wondering. Because if you're actually wondering, then that's an indication that part of you doesn't feel like there's a consistency to the narrative. That's the way propaganda works, which is why propaganda, rats, the people who are obsessed and completely entrained by the media, are so anxious and so freaking out. And they want to get rid of everybody, people like me, who tell them, hey, you're wrong. Hey, you're full of shit. Hey, you are brainwashed. And they say, no, 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 no. They come on my chat and they tell me, no, no, you got to give up. You're wrong. Why would you do that? You don't do this stuff unless part of you on a deep level makes you feel the need to engage. That's how it works, guys. That's psychology. That's how it works. You don't text the girl you don't care about that you don't care. Right? Rule number 1. If you go and call them up to tell them you don't care, you care. So I can read your body language. I can read your subcommunication like you are naked in front of me. It's obvious. It's obvious. All right, I'm going to keep going down here. Let's go down here. What we got here? Guys, I'm gonna just take questions. I'm gonna take questions from now on. The rest of the chat. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say. All right? You either believe or you don't. If you don't believe, you're gonna be in for a world of hurt or surprise. But I would recommend get on the team that says you believe, because then you can say you believed. Honestly. What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Think about this for a second. All right, let's just put it in perspective. I use a similar analogy. We're in the phalanx. We're in a battle. Maybe it looks hopeless. If you die, you die? You want to go out saying that like we couldn't win. I knew you couldn't win. Haha! I told you I was gonna die. Okay, fine. I would rather go out swinging regardless. Regardless, there is absolutely no reason not to trust the plan. There's absolutely no reason not to be prepared to do whatever we have to do. But I know they're done. I know they're done. I don't even have to like. I say this stuff just for those of you who are faltering and need a little bit of that logic. It's completely unnecessary for me to even discuss this stuff. It's so clear as day that they are done. There is no way that 90% of these little things, everyone's like, doesn't really feel like an inauguration. I wonder why that is. Because it's not. It's not an inauguration for a criminal. They are not going to allow criminals into the White House. It's the way it is. The military has been observing it. And you have to get out of the habit of just believing what you see. Because when you only believe what you see, you get fooled. That's how people get tricked. You have to trust your higher logic, but most importantly, you have to trust your heart. Because if you only believe your eyes, you will be like doubting Thomas. Remember doubting Thomas in the Bible? Why do they talk about doubting Thomas? Because Thomas fell out of 5D. He was a good man, loved by Jesus, but he fell out of 5D. And then, even though he knew that Jesus was supposed to be resurrected, when Jesus was resurrected, he could not believe it. He needed to see the proof in Jesus' hands that he had been crucified, because he had allowed himself to fall into lower vibrational states. You will be forgiven for that, but do not be like Thomas. There's no reason to be like Thomas. There's no reason. The proof is there in your heart if you are able to get in touch with it. And people like Roosh, who I don't think are bad people, but people like Roosh is in pain. Roosh has never dealt with his pain. Roosh dealt with his pain initially by trying to fuck girls, then that didn't work. And so what did Roosh do after that? Roosh decided my entire life before was bad, and now I'm going to become a hardcore Christian, which is nothing wrong with being nothing wrong with being a hardcore Christian, I guess, but the reality is that for a lot of people when they do that, they don't deal with the psychological issue, and they just simply now say, they're the monk, right, in the past who would just self-flagellate all day long. I'm a terrible person, whip. I'm a terrible person, whip. Okay, sorry, that's a hijacking. You are not close to God when you're whipping yourself in constant fear and in constant doubt. God, just please save me. My life is terrible. Everything's going to be bad. Just please save me. Please save me. Stop being a bitch. God doesn't want you to be a bitch. Be a fucking man. Be a fucking man. The fuck is your problem? Roosh, all these people. Man up. The manosphere isn't going to last, guys. It's not going to last. There's too many fucking bitches in the manosphere. Spiritual bitches. They have no ability to fight on a psychological, on a spiritual level. They have no ability to do it. They're all paper tigers. They didn't feel like a man, so they decided to do like, I'm going to get that money, or I'm going to get those girls, or I'm going to get jacked. But in the core, they've always felt weak. They've always felt weak. And that's why they're not fighting now. That's why. Remember that. That's why they're not fighting now. You are only a man if you are able to fight when it matters most. And right now, the fight is simply, as I've said time and time again, don't be a fucking bitch. That's it. Don't be a fucking bitch online. That's all you gotta do. When I had a bad day, I stayed offline. And I got myself together so I could show to you guys not being a bitch, right? All of us can have a moment. It's okay. Don't show it. to people who you're supposed to be giving strength to. Because if you want to be right, if you want to be the person who says everything's going bad, see, I was right, everything goes bad, you don't win. No one wins in that situation. You're just a coward who made other people cowards, and you all got slaughtered. That's what happened. All right, let's check out these questions here. Let's check out these questions. Let me see if I can get this going. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's go here, guys. Ask questions. Are you sponsored by David Icke? My God, that's a first. No, I've actually not really even ever watched David Icke stuff. I think I may have seen one video by him. Although I have to say that I've seen people who have been inspired by David Icke. So, I suppose that I have watched a David Icke video in a certain sense. I do think Trump is going to pardon Assange, but I don't think Trump's going to pardon Assange until his official term. From what I've heard, I've been trying to figure out why there's a delay. I think Trump wants to pardon Assange. From what I understand, there are some generals that are against it. And he needs those generals to be fully on his side, so he's going to wait a little bit longer for it. All right, let's keep going here. Was Alex Jones trolling, saying Q is right? I think he was trolling. I haven't watched the video. From what I've heard, he was trolling, which is stupid. But you know what? I'm going to tell you this about Alex Jones. Some people say is Alex Jones is cabal. I don't think Alex Jones is cabal. I just want to tell you guys something about human psychology. All right. Alex Jones has spent his entire life in resistance. He's a highly traumatized individual. Now, that doesn't mean that Alex Jones is a bad person. Alex Jones has actually woke up probably as many people, if not more, than Q, right? Which is maybe why Alex Jones feels a little bit threatened by Q, because Alex wants to be the primary truth sayer, right? But the reality is that Alex Jones is used to losing. He is used to losing. Okay? He wants to be this sort of martyr. And he will be a martyr. I do not think Alex Jones will survive very long into the new age. I don't think that. I think that he's burned out. He spent his life fueled by fighting for survival. It's an adrenaline response. And I do think that he has moments of seeing 5D. I do think he has moments of seeing the higher plan. But he has a very, very hard time really believing that his journey's done. Because I think, frankly, if his journey ends, if his journey's over, if his role's done, and we win, then where does his role exist? So he has a psychological issue trying to believe in this stuff. Sam Adams was huge for the revolution. Sam Adams did not build the United States. Some men have different roles in the process. My daughter's great. She took a big shit a couple days ago, and she took a shit actually today again. So she's clearing out. We go on great walks together. I walk with her 4 to 8 miles a day, and I listen to stuff. That's how I get a lot of my, intel. And we just go for long walks, and she's great. She's in the sling. So she's wonderful. It's really fun, to be honest. It's fun. I had to be up for like an hour last night carrying her around because she couldn't sleep, but it's really not a big deal. All right. Let me keep going down here real quick because I'm going to have to go. I have heard about Blavatsky and everything. I don't really have an opinion. I don't have enough education about her to say left-hand path or whatever. Arrests are going to have to go down tomorrow or something like that. They're going to have to do it. If they don't go down tomorrow, I don't know if they're about arrest, but something has to happen. Something big has to happen tomorrow, guys. Big has to happen. All right. It has to happen tomorrow. There's not really any other option at this point. I am definitely on the deep state radar, but I'm being protected. I don't know who's protecting me, but I'm being protected. Yeah, and that it is. I have thought this is the last night. The world will never be the same again, and that's why I wanted to go on. We have nothing else to talk about. There's no new information, but the world is not going to be the same after tonight. It's not going to be the same. You're faltering. You don't see any evidence. Fall into God. Okay? You think God is going to allow this to happen to his country, to his people? You think that's going to happen? Why weren't they ready for Trump's 2016 win? Well, apparently, from what I've heard, they stole it anyway. They just didn't steal it enough. The win was so overwhelming. And I've said this before. Trump didn't lose the popular vote in 2016. But I've heard they stole as much as 20% of the vote in 2016. I think the issue is that they didn't realize how much he was going to run it up in the swing states. The manosphere is falling apart. It is falling apart. We will rebuild something new afterwards. We will rebuild a new world afterwards. Most of the manosphere is not just simply they're lost. They're still in the old world. I see people still talking about shit from like 2017. Grow the fuck up. You're stagnant. That guy died in there's a post that on Twitter. I'll retweet it. I don't know, man. I wasn't one of the 3,000 people in the entire country who watched Biden today. I'm not gonna talk about how much I charge on here. That's a private conversation, but it's a couple $1,000s. I've had mentors, but most of this is self-discovery, and I think, frankly, my mission. Well, he's a liberal. He needs my coaching. He's not ready. Then, I mean, he needs to ask for it. I don't work with people who someone else says they need coaching. Coaching is they have to be ready to do it themselves. That's just the way it works. Guys, let's see here. I think we're pretty much done, right? We're pretty much done. Look, maybe I'll come back on later and ask some more questions if you have it. Answer some more questions. I got to run to dinner now. But look, guys. Whoa. Look, guys, I love you. All right? I love you. Hey, hold the light tomorrow. We've been doing this for 10 months, right? Whatever comes tomorrow, I love you too, right? We are a family together. We've been through a lot. And the best is yet to come. I promise you guys. The best is yet to come. You need to look, I'm going to close on this last statement here, all right? We are in a situation now. People, if it goes down more or less as we think it's going to go down, there are going to be a lot of people in our world who are going to lose it. Do you understand this? They're going to lose it. This is why we have the empathy wine tonight. They're going to lose it. You understand? And you are going to have to talk a lot of them off the brink. You're going to have to talk a lot of them off the brink. So really, we are here for a reason. And we are here to help people who have been misled. So let's put aside our ego as much as possible. We're going to be vindicated anyway. But put aside our ego as much as possible and help these people to transition as many as we can. Save as many as we can. All right? They're good people mostly. They've been misled. All right? I love you guys, and I will see you later.